Hi, Ben here and welcome back to the workshop for another Work in Progress Wednesday. So today we're working on some Nomad blades, so I'm getting these prepped ready for heat treatment. So the blades we're working on today are actually ABL steel, the stainless steel that we like to use, and these are 3mm thick stock. But the process of prepping these blades is the same whether it's stainless steel or carbon steel at this stage. So at this stage they're totally annealed, they're totally soft. So I make sure that I do all the profiling, make sure that I get the pivot ream to the correct size, and I put this initial bevel grind on there, still leaving the edge thick. Now at that stage it's absolutely critical before we take it through to the next part of the heat treatment process is that we make sure that it's absolutely flat. So I'm going to show you how I go about doing that to make sure they're going to be tip top and work perfectly in our Nomads. So we've come through into the area where I lay out all my blades, and this surface plate, this precision granite plate, is useful for obviously scribing centre lines but also checking blades to see if they're straight. So what I tend to do is lay them onto the surface, and you can almost hit them with your fingers, and I can feel that that's rocking at that stage, so I know that there's obviously a slight bend in it, and that's not going to work. That's going to be too curved for working in the Nomad. And I'll go through and roughly check all of them like that, and then what I do, once I've realised which ones need tweaking, is I actually use precision ground parallel. So these are used in the milling machine, but they're precision ground pieces of hardened steel, so I know this is truly flat. And then I can lay the Nomad on there and I can check to see that curve. One, I can feel it with my fingers, but also what I'll do is I'll hold it up to the light and I'll be able to see where the light is bouncing through that gap between the Nomad blade and the parallel. And obviously what I then do is I have to then turn it over the opposite way and then actually bend the blade to get it straight, and I'll show you what I use to do that. So we've come over to the bench and I've got this little 1-ton arbor press. So I've got my parallel, I can see that it's lifting up at this end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over, flip it into the arbor press, and I'm just going to give it a little press with this handle. I've added an extra long handle to mine so I'll get a little bit more leverage. I'm just putting a little bit of pressure onto that top surface to try and make that slight bend. That's pretty much it. It doesn't take much just to take that little bit of a bend out of it. If anything, might have gone too far the other way. So what we do is come back here, and obviously you've got the gap in the arbor press. If you just want to tweak it slightly, you can turn it to these flat sections and just give it a little tweak like that. And what that will do is just take out the very subtle bends. And that's looking pretty good now. Nice and flat. So that's ready to go to the next stage of heat treat. So once you've got your blades straightened and got all the initial grinds put on there, with all my stainless steels I tend to run a stress relief cycle. So we come through into the heat treat department where I've got my kilns. I've actually got 2 of the kilns already running on a stress relief cycle at the moment. And what we do is we place those into a kiln, and then they don't have to be wrapped in foil at this stage, they can just be bare. But we pop them in there onto a rack, just like so. And obviously I'd put a few more blades in there. Fill the kiln up, shut the door, and then the beauty of the even heat kiln is I can have all my different heat treatment programs on there. So at this stage what I do is I go recall, and it's my program number 3, and enter it. And if I view that cycle, the stress relief cycle is actually 1 segment, and it ramps up as fast as you like to 650 degrees Celsius, and it holds it for an hour. So basically they come up to almost a dull red colour. Once that hour's up, we take them out the kiln and we just hang them on some hooks and let them air cool, and that relieves all the stress that might have been put into that steel, obviously from grinding the blades, drilling, and also straightening that blade. Any kind of stress that you've put into the molecular level of the steel, you take that out just before we wrap them up in stainless steel wrap for the heat treatment side. So that's pretty much it really. That's what I'm going to be working on today, getting all these blades prepped, getting them ready to foil wrap for the next part of the heat treatment. So hope that's useful to you, and remember to tune in for next week's Work in Progress Wednesday.